I agree.
When Bush was in office, we heard from the left over and over and over again, he's silencing us, he's silencing us, he's silencing us. Well, we have to be, the right has to do it themselves. The right's doing a halfway. The Tea Party, I think, is the redeeming part of the right now, and saying, we're being consistent. We were against it on George W. Bush at the end, and we're against it now. But I think there would be part of the Tea Party that would fall away. If Romney would have won, I think part of the Tea Party would have sat down and been quiet. And that's the problem. We have to be consistent on our values at all times.
And I would say we have to try to begin to give the benefit of the doubt when we hear someone we disagree with. And imagine that they're the worst. We tend to say when we hear something we disagree with, we give it the worst possible interpretation. You know what? Here's the truth. Here's the truth, Glenn. When I say, why am I here? Why am I here? Okay? I mean, this is not nice to say, but I don't mean it in a not nice way. Prior to meeting you, okay, I did not. I want to say this in a respectful way.
No, you just say it. Just say it because it will be more.
You were crazy. Okay? You were crazy, and you were reactionary and angry and a polarizer. And I think, by the way, all of us are in our own ways as the culture gets more and more polarized. And I sat down with you that first dinner, and I said, oh my God, this is like, I have to like, all the stereotypes got broken in the conversation. Now that's what we have to do. And that meant I had to listen to you, not speak and say how crazy you are. And by the way, that's what I've had to tell my friends, including my wife. But I mean it in a nice way. I mean it in a nice way. And I want her to come down and meet you, right? And meet your wife. And you know.
Does she still think I'm crazy?
No, not as much, obviously, because she's watched now me with you. And I tell her, you're not going to believe this conversation. You know, so we don't listen. We jump right away and conclude that whatever we heard, we give it the worst possible interpretation. Now, some people we do. You know what? Hamas, we have to give the worst possible interpretation. I get that. I get Hamas, worst possible interpretation, not the benefit of the doubt to Hamas. Benefit of the doubt maybe to Gazans, but not benefit of the doubt. But my fellow American citizen, that's the person I'm going to judge as I'm going to compare my best to their worst. You know what? When we compare our best to someone else's worst, it's funny how we always win. We're always right. Sometimes let's compare my worst. I've said things in my life where that could easily, if you didn't go deeper and you didn't listen to me more, it hurt people, I am sure. I know I've hurt people.
We all have.
So what if we actually go the opposite way? I'm going to imagine the best interpretation of that, and therefore I'm going to ask more deeply, what did you really mean by that? Because you know what? It hurt me. It hurt me. We have a country whose traditions are, individual traditions and communities' traditions are being, because of the craziness of globalization and the homogenization, we're losing traditions. We have great cultural loss.
You said something to me that I thought was so spectacular. You said because you live in Manhattan, in your community in Manhattan, traditions are being lost, and you do that poorly. And in Texas, conservative communities, they have that great tradition.
I'm one of those people. I'm one of those people because I am a religious person. I actually take tradition very seriously. I have traditions about eating. I have traditions about prayer. I have traditions when I walk into my home. I look at the mezuzah. I do not walk through my threshold without a practice. You can call it a practice, a tradition, a ritual. I have rituals of blessing my children every single Friday. I don't want those. I am watching those traditions disappear in my community. Okay? And when I talk about that, I don't want to be perceived as some kind of conservative reactionary who wants to go back to 1700. I understand what's wrong about some of those traditions. I understand that some of those traditions were patriarchal. I understand that some traditions were racist. I'm not stupid. I understand that there's a telling of Columbus that we also need to nuance. But nuance a telling of Columbus and wiping out Columbus Day in the statue, it seems to be there should be something in between that. No, and here's the thing. I get the 10% of both sides that don't want anything in between. I get that. I have no problem.
But those are the ones we're listening to.
But that's what's so crazy.
And we can't look at that society and judge it differently than ours. There are good people that are doing bad things
Correct.
that they don't really understand. But in 20 years from now,
correct,
they will look and go,
we're going to look at things that we do now,
yeah,
okay, that we're doing with the best motivation. We're going to say, oh my gosh,
what have we done?
How did we do that?
Yeah. Rabbi, it's good to see you.
It's great.
Next time, bring your wife.
Great. I will.
Okay. Back in a minute.